Some warnings are meant to be heeded, especially when they come from the dead. Every town has its ghost story, but in Stone Hollow, it was the Overpass Phantom. The legend spoke of a shadowy figure that appeared beneath the old railway bridge on Highway 47. They said if you stopped your car there at night, you'd hear whispers warning you to leave. Those who ignored the warning often didn't make it home. Casey thought it was all nonsense. A high school senior with a penchant for thrill-seeking, she loved proving people wrong. So when her friends dared her to drive to the overpass and wait for the phantom, she didn't hesitate. "I'll even stay longer than 5 minutes," she boasted, tossing her keys in the air. The night was cold and moonless as she drove down the empty stretch of road. Her headlights barely cut through the thick fog that seemed to gather as she neared the overpass. The bridge loomed ahead, its rusted beams and graffiti-covered walls almost swallowed by the dark. Casey parked her car directly beneath it, the engine idling as she waited. Minutes passed, and nothing happened. Casey tapped her fingers on the steering wheel, glancing at the clock on her dashboard. "Figures," she muttered. "Bunch of scaredy cats." Just as she reached for the gear shift, a sound caught her attention. It was faint at first, like a low whisper carried on the wind. She froze, her hand hovering over the gear stick. The whispering grew louder, overlapping voices murmuring in an unintelligible chant. A chill ran down her spine. Casey turned off the engine, rolling down her window to listen. The voices seemed to be coming from the bridge itself, reverberating through the steel beams. She squinted into the fog, her heart racing. "Hello," she called out, her voice trembling. The whispers stopped. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, a single word echoed through the stillness: "Leave." Casey's breath caught in her throat. She fumbled to start the engine, her fingers shaking. But as the headlights flickered to life, she saw it. A shadowy figure standing in the middle of the road, just beyond the bridge. It was tall and featureless, its edges shifting like smoke. "What the?" Casey whispered, her pulse pounding in her ears. The shadow began to move toward her, its form growing more defined with each step. Casey threw the car into reverse, her tires screeching against the asphalt. But no matter how far she backed up, the shadow seemed to stay the same distance away, as if tethered to her. Desperate, she slammed the car into drive and sped forward, aiming to swerve around it. But as she passed under the overpass, the shadow vanished. Her relief was short-lived. From the corner of her eye, Casey caught movement in the passenger seat. She turned her head, and her stomach dropped. The shadow was there, sitting beside her, its empty face inches from hers. Its voice filled the car, a guttural whisper that made her ears ache. "You were warned." Casey screamed, losing control of the wheel. The car skidded off the road and into a ditch, coming to a jarring halt. Dazed, she looked around. The shadow was gone. The next morning, a passing driver found Casey's car abandoned beneath the overpass. The doors were locked, and there was no sign of her. The only clue was a single word scratched into the fogged-up window on the passenger side: "Leave." Locals say the Overpass Phantom claimed another victim that night, a warning to those who dare to test the legend. And now, when the fog rolls in on Highway 47, drivers swear they see a shadow lingering near the bridge, waiting for its next victim. Would you dare stop at the overpass? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more chilling tales from the shadows. Until next time, drive carefully and listen to the warnings.